I'm Dimitri with DIY Credit. Let's take a look at this report. Today I'm going to be showing you a video on a client's profile that when he first started with us about 2 years ago, he was in a position where he felt as if his credit profile was unsalvageable. He felt as if the only way to get out of it would be bankruptcy. After taking a look at his profile and looking at the age of history on a lot of these negative accounts, we were almost in a position to tell him that he needed to do bankruptcy as well. But he said, look, I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to do whatever you guys, ask me to go ahead and do, and let's see what happens. So this is a very extreme example on what someone's credit profile looks like in a very extreme capacity. And I'll go through that right now. So the way that I like to read reports is I look at the things that are, perhaps a bit less impactful in the beginning. And then I like to target the negative items that I see, acknowledge the positive items, also acknowledge where I can offer or let the client know where they can be improving on the positive items as well. So I'll get into all that today and we'll address everything. But I kind of want to show you the quick strike stuff, right? The stuff that's going to be like, okay, wow, that's pretty cool. So this guy at a certain point had over 100 collections, right? So his report as of December 8th, 2022, and you can see also we blocked off the sensitive information. So he was here at a 589, 607, and 611, right? We'll go into the negative items now, but I want to show you what his score looks like right now. So we fast forward a little bit to November 13th of this year. Cool. Look, he's at a 737, 745, and a 750. So obviously his scores have improved, right? But what does that look like? Where was he at, right? Because the scores are cool, but the scores don't tell the story. Let me show you right now. Let's look at his report from about a year ago, and let's go through the motions. So as you can see here, this is what's called the creditor contacts, right? The creditor contacts on your credit profile allows you, if for whatever reason you need to reach out to them to do a pay for deletion, if you needed to go ahead and reach out to them to make a payment arrangement, whatever the case is, you have in the bottom of your credit profile, if you have a comprehensive report, which with this credit report that we're looking at right now, this person does have a comprehensive report. This allows you to see everything on your report in terms of the creditor contacts. So if he needed to reach out to these people, cool, he can go ahead and hit them up, whatever. Now, inquiries, right? A lot of clients think that inquiries are the death of them. So let's kind of clear that up a little bit, right? So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he's about like 15, 20, right? So inquiries stay on your report for up to 2 years, right? So it's important to show activity, but not like overindulge in getting new hard inquiries. And what I mean by that is you don't want other creditors to see that you look desperate in the sense of having 40, 50, 60 hard inquiries, because on average, consumers should have about 5 per calendar year. So if you're at, let's say, for instance, 40 or 50, you're letting these people know that you're kind of a little bit desperate. So this client right here doesn't have too many. They have about 15. So they're a little bit over the normal amount that I would like to see them have. But this is not anywhere close or the reasoning as to why they're at where they're at, which we'll get into in a moment. So just to give you some more light as well, or shed some more light on this, a client's or someone's hard inquiries, they fall off or they can only stay on the report up to 2 years. That's it. So as you can see here, these from 2021, these will be, and this person's report, this right here is from last year. So a lot of these inquiries have fallen off, as well as a lot of the negative items that you're going to see right now. So let's go up to the negative items. So they have an Affirm account. This account is fine. No negative comments, remarks. This one right here. So let's look at this right here. This is a Chase card, right? The balance is $1,407. Cool. It's not that high of a balance, but let's look at this. Look at the last payment made, April of 2016. Why is that important? The reason why is because people, for whatever reason, they tell their friends, or I don't know where they read this, but they say, oh, well, things fall off your credit after 7 years, right? Wrong. The way that things actually transpire, the way it actually happens is things fall off 7 years and 6 months from the last payment made. So that's the first thing I always look at. I always look at when was the last payment made, because that lets me know whether do we touch this account in terms of doing a pay for deletion, or do we dispute it to get it deleted because of the tenure, because of the age of history. This right here, as you can see, obviously we're walking into 2024 right now. So this age of history is super, super old. So making any payment on this will do one thing and one thing only. It'll reset the proverbial clock. So if this guy or this client goes ahead and wakes up tomorrow and says, oh, I want to be a good Samaritan. I want to call, I want to call Chase over here and pay my card or pay this balance. He would be shooting himself in the foot. And the reason why is because he would reset that proverbial clock, right? So in this case, I would tell him, which I have told him, which we'll look at his most recent report, and you guys will see that there's a dramatic difference. Don't pay this. So we ended up getting this item deleted, which I'll show you once we refresh his report. You can see right here, we have another one, a collection agency right here, LV&V funding. Typically, they'll show the original creditor here, but obviously collection agencies don't really follow the regulations or the way that they're supposed to do things. They kind of like do things the way they want. So sometimes they'll have the original creditor, sometimes they won't. I'm sure we'll have some examples here to show as well. But as you can see here, this is a balance of 957. And you can also see that it's only reporting on Experian and Equifax. It's not showing on TransUnion, which is good because if it's not reporting on one bureau, typically, or one or two bureaus, typically, or more oftentimes than not, it'll be deleted from the remaining bureaus shortly thereafter. So moving forward, another LV&V funding account with a balance of $1,985. It's only on two bureaus. This is another collection account as well for $2,584. Another balance right here. This is a positive account. So the way you can gauge if it's a positive account is the following. Look at the payment status, last reported, or comments. So this has a $0 balance right here. I don't see anything derogatory. There's nothing here that's telling me that this is a negative account. So there's no reason why we would dispute this item because this has good history. This was an account opened almost 10 years ago and $0 balance. So he wants to get Barclays again. They were to see on his credit profile, $0 balance, no negative or derogatory remarks. Cool. No harm, no foul. And they also have their own internal records as well. So that'll kind of just double down as to whether or not they'll go ahead and approve this person, which they probably will because he has a good history with them. Okay, so Discover Bank, another negative account. How do we know that? Look at the payment status, collection/charge-off, collection/charge-off. Obviously, it's on all three bureaus. But look at the interesting thing. Let's go back to the last payment made, January of 2017. So we're at the tail end of November right now, right? Strolling into 2024. This account, I can almost guarantee you, if once we pull up his new report, this will not be here anymore, which means he will no longer be responsible for these balances as well. Another thing that's important to understand with credit repair is the following. Just because we delete certain items off of your credit report doesn't mean that you don't have the responsibility to go ahead and pay it with that creditor moving forward, right? So just because it's off of your credit report doesn't mean that like if it's not paid that you'll be able to get an account with that company in the future. There's a possibility that if you don't pay it, that they might not allow you in their system in the future. Now, it's not on your credit report, which is great, but if you want to have, in this example, Discover in the future, you might have to wait a buffer period of 5, 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be. I know Amex is a bit tougher. Typically things can, if you're blacklisted from them or if you've owed them money, you can either make a payment plan to get back on, or if you just decide not to pay it and it was like a high balance, you can kind of get ousted from them or get canceled for about 10 to 20 years. So just keep that in mind. There's different variations for different people, but just keep that in mind that just because we delete something from your credit profile doesn't mean that you're removed from the responsibility. I'll give you a very specific example. Student loans. Student loans are backed by government agencies, right? Like the U.S. Department of Education, and the collection agencies that they sell the balances to are also government owned as well. So if, let's say, for instance, have a client says, hey, D, I want to go ahead and remove some student loans, which I'll do a whole other video on that. We can get the student loans deleted from your credit profile, but you still have to make those payments. If you don't make those payments, what can happen? You can get your taxes taken, they can garnish your wages, but you're going to be on the hook for that because it is the government that owns the debt. In this case right here, this Discover is not the government. So I wouldn't recommend to this client whatsoever, which I obviously recommended for them not to pay, which you'll see it's probably been deleted by now. And they saved this $953. And it's a very old account as well. Next account here, Barclays, another account right here, $0 balance. This is a good example. This is a good example of like bad things happening to good people, right? So this client right here went ahead and paid whatever balance that they owed, right? And check this out. They still, the creditors, in this case, Barclays, they went ahead and they still have it charged off as bad debt, right? So here's the paradox with creditors and collection agencies, right? They love operating by the book when it's convenient to them. And what I mean by that is this client here paid the balance in full, right? So it's like, damn, like I paid it, like just remove it from my credit profile. You guys got what you want. You guys got the money. So like they went ahead here and they received the money, and it's a $0 balance, but they still have negative remarks. Collection charge-off is bad debt. So like this already shows me this account needs to be deleted because any collection or any charge-off or any derogatory remark that has a balance of $0, $1, $10,000, it still impacts you adversely. Granted, if you have a collection of $10,000 versus a collection of $1, it's gonna impact your score significantly different. But the point is, I don't like seeing on anybody's reports whatsoever. So once I see this needs to be deleted. No harm, no foul. But I will tell you this, when you have a $0 balance as a collection or a charge off, it becomes a lot easier for my team to go ahead and dispute it on your behalf. Or with our DIY software, you can do it yourself. If you don't have the time to go ahead and mail out the letters that we send out to you, or whatever the case may be, we can do it for you. We have another program for you guys if you guys are busy or whatever. Let's keep going here. Another collection here for $3,000 only on one bureau. Another collection right here for, this is a charge off. This is $582 from Kohl's/Capital One. Look at the last payment made, February of 2017. So when I was speaking to him, right, this is what a couple years ago I said, look, this is going to take a while, right? But your age of history of these accounts is very old. So what does that mean? That means that if and when we start this program, you have to be cognizant and understanding of the educational tips that I'm giving to you, which is what? I need you to go ahead and maintain your positive items in a positive fashion, which we'll get into in a moment. Because right now we're just going over the negative items, right? And as you can see, this guy has a lot. Another negative account, Nordstrom, $1,000, all three bureaus. Collection account. And as you can see here, this is a good example. Portfolio Recovery Association is the actual collection agency. But you see here, the original creditor, they did it this time. They put Synchrony Bank. They're only showing it on one bureau, and the other two are not reporting either because we've deleted it by this point, or because they just never reported in the first place. Collection agencies are super sloppy. They only really care about their money. So for the most part, when you're doing settlements with them or pay for deletion agreements, they'll typically be prone to go ahead and deleting things, but you have to make sure to get it in writing. I'll do a different video as well, just on pay for deletion agreements and what that looks like. I'll provide templates so you guys can be as equipped as you need. Another collection account for $1,470 with Midland Funding. The original creditor was Citibank. So as you can see, he just has a lot. This guy has a lot. He's probably had the most collection accounts that I've ever seen. To be more specific, when he started, he had over 100 collection accounts. You're only seeing now what is left after 1 year of our program, and I'm going to show you the deletions now and like how much he's paid us. Another collection for $2,500, $370, $751, and it just goes on and on and on. $4,000, $714, $2,700. So I'm going to keep going up. I'm going to show you what's been deleted up until now, and then let's talk about the positive items, right? So I'm going to go to the top. So let's go here. So right here, this is what's called a revolving source of debt, right? Which is a fancy word for, or fancy phrase for credit cards, right? Credit cards, for the most part, account for 65% of your overall score. And within that, you have utilization, you have age of history, you have when was the account created, what is the credit limit attached to it. So this right here, you can see he has a $300 limit, and his utilization at that moment in time is $152, or his balance is $152, and his utilization is about 50%. So ideally, or in a perfect world, in my perfect world, I like to have my clients under 9% utilization, because that allows the credit bureaus, when they're doing your score, to know that you are a lower risk. When you become lower risk because of the fact that they sell your information on a daily basis to other creditors, what happens? They increase your score. So rule of thumb, lower balances, higher score. And then you can go ahead and look over the statement closing date and kind of see when it is that your statement closes, so you can pay the balances under 9% before they close out, which I can show you in a different part of this credit monitoring where that exists. Okay, so this credit card right here, Milestone, $300 limit, $260. So he's almost fully maxed out, right? So we need to go ahead and get his utilization down. We need to increase his credit limits as well. Same thing here, $1,100 limit, $260 balance. So he's almost at a 30%, which 30% is now where I want you guys to keep it at. If you're financially strapped and 30% is what you can only muster, that's cool. That's fine. Do what you can. But ideally, 9%, because 9% is going to take you from good to great. And that's where I want you guys to be. This one right here, $500 limit, $8 balance. This one looks lovely. Cool. This one right here, $300 limit, $0 balance. Fantastic. $300 limit, $6 balance. Fantastic. Same thing here, $750 limit, $1 balance. Fantastic. So let's go over what his report looks like now, right? And let's go over what's been deleted so far. So, okay, so as you can see here, This portfolio account with a balance of $1,906 deleted. This account for $1,000 has been deleted. This balance right here with 751. Let me close it. There we go. And this one right here, the balance of 370, deleted. A collection account here with $3,000, deleted. Another account, deleted. $4,668 account, deleted. So all of these accounts have been deleted. And as you can see, the numbers they add up very quickly. I'd venture to say that this particular client here has had over $100,000 in collections removed since he's been in our program, which is a very extreme example. Most of you guys are not going to have that. Most of the clients that I see are not going to have that. But I want you guys to really have a full comprehension as to like, whatever your situation is, you can get out of the woods. You're not hopeless. You're not in a position where there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I promise you guys that this is all based off of math and tenure. And I know a lot of you guys incurred these late payments, these collections, these charge-offs, some of these derogatory marks during COVID. And it's as crazy as it sounds, we're already almost 4 years after COVID. You know, in a few months, we're going to be in 2024. So all those things that impacted you in a time where maybe there was things outside of your control, I want you guys to know that based off of historical data and age of history off these negative accounts, you'll have these accounts deleted sooner rather than later. And that's the reason why I wanted to show you guys this person's example, because this is very extreme, but hopefully your situation is nothing like it. And if, let's say it is, case study right here, you're good. We'll take care of you. We'll hold your hand the entire way. No harm, no foul. So he's had an abundance of collections removed, right? And he's paid us up to now $1,400. So the reason why that's important is because not only is our customer service A1, not only do we have 5-star reviews across the board, but we tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? Now let's go look at the fun stuff, right? Because everybody wants to see their scores to where they think that they deserve to be at, right? But a case of the I deserves isn't going to get you to a position of where you want to be. Right now, this person from the last year to this year, he's in the action stage. So let's look at him now. He's at a 737 on TransUnion, 745 on Experian, 750 on Equifax. So this person literally had over $100,000 in collection accounts just 1 year ago. And now he is in the mid 700s. And I have his new report coming in a few days, which I'll update you guys as well. You know, I'll piggyback off in the comments or whatever. But this is a prime example as to like, things are great, guys. Don't worry about it. We've got your back. We'll help you out. So let's start from the bottom like we did last time. So his creditor contacts are still going to be there. He's still going to have it. His inquiries, obviously, as you guys saw, they went down. He was able to apply for a few new places this year to show some activity. So he's doing great on that front. So let's look at and let's try to find all of those collections that we just had for him. So I'm scrolling up. All those collections that you guys saw that I told you and I showed you guys were old. This one here is remaining. This one's coming off in a couple of months. If not, by the next time his report updates, I would fully suspect it's been deleted, which will further push his score a lot higher. So this guy's profile just brings me so much joy because I didn't think we were gonna be able to get it done for him. I had never seen anything like this before, and he told me, which a lot of clients tell me on the phone, like, I have the most things you're gonna see. I have the most. And when I looked at his profile, like he actually did have the most. So I've gotten super cool with him. I would consider him a friend of mine. And I'm very happy and grateful that we were able to get him to this point where he's at right now. And as you can see, the derogatory marks, the comments, I'm not really seeing them anymore. We had that one collection that was there, but he's almost done. He's almost done with our program. His ROI, his return on investment is beautiful. You know, he's paid us about $1,000 something. He's got over $100,000 in deletion. So for every dollar he's putting in, we're giving him back like $100, I'd say, in deletions, or whatever that math adds up to. I'm sorry if I'm not the best in math, but yeah, as you can see here, as I'm scrolling through his profile, nothing is negative. What we need to do now is like the fun part, right? So he's had these accounts, let's say, for instance, this one since 2018, but look at his credit limit, right? So now what we need to do is we need to do what's called CLIs. So a CLI is a credit limit increase. Every consumer, including you, including me, should be requesting credit limit increases on their respective credit cards every 6 months. And the reason why is because you don't want to be in a position where you've had this card for, let's say in his example, 5-6 years, where your limit's only $300. Like, how much can a $300 credit card get you around? You know, and I get it if, you know, you're building your credit, if you're starting new, which I'll do another video on starting new credit and how to get from like a 0 to like an 800 within a year, all the fun stuff. But there's no real point of having a credit card with a $300 limit that you have for 5 years. Like, you're not gonna get that much done. So unless it's a credit card that you just have just because of the age of history or whatever, I wouldn't suggest keeping those limits. And then just because you have a low credit limit, don't close your cards. Like, these people will increase your credit limit if you just ask and you give them the right reasoning. So a good excuse or a good reason why I have clients request CLIs is home renovations, right? Hey, I'm looking to do a home renovation. I love the points in your card or whatever. I've been with you this much, whatever. I've been with you guys for X amount of time. And the rule of thumb is this: always ask for a lot more than what you need. So for instance, in his case, he has a $300 limit. So I would tell him just to ask for like $15,000. They're not going to give it to him, but if he's saying that he needs home renovations, this, that, and the other, they might end up giving him like $5,000 or $4,000, maybe not the whole 15 or whatever, but that's way more than what he currently has. And what happens when they increase your credit limit? If 65% of your score is based off of your credit cards overall, and your credit limits are, let's say, $1,000 total, and with one phone call or just logging online and getting a CLI and you've increased your credit card limit 5, 6, 10 times, what do you think happens to your total credit card limit as a whole on your credit profile? It increases that much more as well. So once that happens, your chances of like defaulting or your chances of, let's say, having your score lower are lowered that much more because of the fact that you have more availability and credit limit to do more. And if you're maintaining the balances low, which in his case, obviously you can see he's maintaining them low, then your credit score is going to continue to increase and you're going to get what in the mail? You're going to get more pre-approvals. And the reason why is because your information and my information are being sold every single day in the form of what's called a soft inquiry. So these creditors are seeing your profile and my profile without us even having any acknowledgement of it. You and I can be having dinner or whatever, and these people are looking over our profile saying, oh, this would be a good candidate, this, that, and the other. Let's send them a pre-approval in the mail. And then when you get that pre-approval in the mail, I know how I feel. Oh, wow, these people want me. They have a $100,000 point introduction offer. I've been kind of wanting this card. Damn, how do they, figure out? They already saw your credit report. They already saw that you would be a good candidate. And why? Because you have decent limits on other credit cards and you're being responsible with those people as well. So like, hey, they should use our program too. So that'll be my next set of feedback for him, would be to get a credit limit increase. But as you can see here, he did that with this card. This didn't exist in the last video that we did. So he got a credit limit increase this year for this particular card right here. And as you can see, his credit limit increased exponentially. Why do you think that happened? Look at the date that it was open, 2012. This guy's had this account for literally more than a decade, and he just got a credit limit increase now. So like, that's the other part. These negative items that we went over in the first report, they're only bringing you down. The positive items maintained in a positive way are what increase your score exponentially based off of the methodical approaches that you're doing to them. And it could be things like I mentioned that are so like trivial that like don't seem like a big deal, but in reality they are. Like, let's say with the other credit card that he had of a $300 limit, and he says, you know what, I'm tired of this card, I'm going to close it, whatever. I wouldn't recommend that because you've had that card for almost 10 years, 5, 6 years, whatever the case may be. So keep it, get a credit limit increase. Now, if they don't want to increase your credit limit, cool, that's fine. Then let's talk about maybe canceling out or whatever. But every person should have minimum at a certain point when you're looking to get to the hierarchies of credit, 5 to 6 credit cards in rotation always. Not 1, not 10, not 15, not 20. You can have 15 or 20 once you're kind of like in the mastery stage of this. But when you're in the action stage, you need to start developing methodically to get new sources of revolving debt, meaning new credit cards. So here he was an authorized user on a credit card. Here it's obviously helping him as well. So authorized users are a very, very big tool used the right way. It's also known as credit piggybacking. And essentially it's when someone that cares about you, a loved one, significant other, or a friend of yours, adds you as an authorized user over the phone or online, and you immediately gain all of their on-time payment history as well as their credit limits overall. So like that'll help you out. If you have someone in your circle that can help you out with that, that would increase your credit score as well. As you can see, he has a $1,600 limit on this credit card, a $1,600 limit on this credit card. So my focus with him right now is just increasing his limits overall. But as you can see here, his limits have already increased across the board. And what is he doing? He's doing exactly as I asked him to do, which is what? Keeping his balances low. $0 balance, higher limits. $0 balances, higher limits. So as long as you're doing things the right way and the way that we're coaching you, you will be in a position to wherever it is that you need to get to. And then what makes things sweeter at the end of the day, at least for our company, is these clients are not being told what they want to hear. They're being told what they need to hear. And with that being said, as long as they adhere to the feedback of what we're giving them in terms of like what to do on their end, what not to do on their end, they're going to be in a position where not only is their score increasing, which is making them happier, right? Or making you guys happier for those of you that are thinking about joining our program. But now you're in a position where you don't need me anymore. And the reason why is because I put you on game with everything. I taught you how to do this. I told you what you needed to hear. I said to you, hey, avoid this or whatever the case may be. And then now you're in a position where like you're correcting your friends. You're telling your friends, hey, it's not 30%, it's 9%. Hey, you should get 5 increase per year. Hey, this is the difference between your statement closing date and your bill due date. Hey, when you're looking for new credit card offers, look for this. Hey, when you're looking for points. So it gets deeper as your score increases, right? And that's a cool thing. So like, for instance, like right now with my credit, and just to kind of give you guys some light, like obviously I have over an 800 credit score. Cool, find this, that, and the other. But I'm still learning credit related things on a daily basis. And the reason why is because there's new programs, there's new credit cards, there's things that come out where they continue to give me more education to like throw on you guys as well. So like I have clients sometimes telling me certain things that have come out or new programs or new credit cards like I perhaps wasn't privy to. So that's the cool thing about this. Once you kind of get past the BS and all the crappy stuff in the beginning and removing the negative items and worrying about like how to go ahead and increase your score, now you're in a position where like it kind of gets fun. And like a prime example is like I went last year with my girlfriend. We went to France and we went to England. We flew for free, flew business class, and it was just based off of the credit cards that I was going to use anyways that entire year. But instead of using debit cards or instead of using cash, I'm big on points. Like I love my points. So I know that once I have X amount of points, I can grab them, use airline partners, this, that, and the other. So it makes my life for the things that I want to do anyways exponentially easier because I'm going to spend that money anyways. I'm going to throw those ads on my company, or I'm going to buy that TV at Best Buy or whatever. But instead of using it on debit card or cash, where I'm not getting anything back, I throw everything in my card. So I'm in a position of where I'm getting hooked up for hooking these creditors up. They're making money off of us with interest, fees, advertisements, things of that nature. So it's nice to feel some love on their side coming back to us in terms of the stuff that we're spending anyway. So this client right here, once again, I wanted to show you guys that you're not in a position where things are hopeless, right? And it's important to see things. And I know that I was kind of a bit long-winded on this and breaking down very minute and very specific things, but I hope that, 1, 2, if not all of these things that I've gone over have helped remove and I always say this a lot, remove the haziness that exists with credit. And the reason why is because this credit stuff is boring. Like it really is. So I try to do my best to put things in a way or explain things in a way where like you guys are understanding it, like kind of the way I had to kind of understand it, where it's like I had to go and I had to dive deep into books. I had to go ahead and like dissect certain things. I had to kind of put things in layman's terms. So I don't want you guys to ever feel anymore where you guys are alone in this, or you are in a position where you don't even know where to start. Like with our program, DIY credit, you can do all of this yourself for $35 a month, literally $35 a month. And if, let's say for instance, it's something where like you don't have the time in the day, don't even worry about it. We have the full coaching service. We have the full service where we have a coach attached to your profile. You can text them, you can call them. They go over your credit profile. They do an evaluation. They dissect everything kind of like the way I did right now, where you have your negative items, you have your positive items. These are your positive items on like how I want you to maintain them better. You have your game plan, and then we execute. And this is a prime example as to what happens when things are executed the right way, and a client and ourselves are doing one thing and one thing only, which is doing what they say they're going to do. If a client or us can do what we say we're going to do, this is what the fruits of the labor look like. Because a lot of people think that, and this is the thing too, credit for me is it's a person's financial reputation. And the reason why is because you can have phenomenal, pristine credit, right? Like you guys saw this guy had 100 collections. This guy's credit was like really, really bad, but he's in the mid 500s right now. If he were to go ahead and make one late payment, his score will drop to the low 600s. So I say out to say this: think of your credit profile the same way you think of your reputation with your friends, with your family members, with your loved ones. Because if you do something to harm them, let's say, that's what they're going to remember. Like, what have you done for me lately, right? Same thing with your credit. Make sure to maintain it in a capacity where like you're protecting it at all costs. And I say that to say this: don't lend your credit out to people. Don't lend it out to family members. Don't lend it out to loved ones. And it's unfortunate, but I've seen too many instances where it's like you've done so many things to get it to this point, and then someone who hasn't done those things piggybacks off of what you're doing, doesn't do things the right way that you're accustomed to doing it, and then now you have to suffer the consequences. So, you know, I know it is harsh feedback, but at the end of the day, I always try to be an advocate for my clients more than anyone. You know, I just seen a lot. I've seen a lot where people have, you know, abused it, and, you know, you have bad things happen to good people, unfortunately. So I hope this video is a good representation. I know it's very extreme, but it's a good representation of like hope, right? And that to me is where everything starts. Hope and acknowledging what's on the credit report and being in a position where it's like, now when you need the credit, you have it, versus needing it and not having it. So I hope this was very informative to you guys. For those of you that are just watching this for the first time, please like and subscribe to our channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content like this on a weekly basis. And if you guys have any more specific questions, make sure to leave it in the comments below, and we'll do our best to go ahead and reach out to them. And if there's something that we think is noteworthy to go do a video, I'll go ahead and do it. But thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Happy holidays, and I'll see you soon.